Shalom, call halal, Yahawah, BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI, BAHASHAM, Kodash, double honors to the apostles and the elders at Great Millstone. Peace citations to the brothers out there pushing this truth. The hopeful elect, men, women out there looking to please and serve Yahawah, BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI. I just wanted to, I came across this article on history.com. It's actually very fitting for today, which is the July 4th. You got everybody in America out and celebrating in this wicked day. And I really wanted to touch on Israelites who are, out there celebrating the spirit of patriotism, man. Celebrating it and just in the spirit of ignorance and not knowing the history of our people and where we came from and what we've been through and what we're going through and what's to come. So I'm gonna read a little bit of this article, and I'm gonna jump into some scriptures and really just let the spirit flow. All right, so this is history.com. This it was published June 21st, 2019. It says how the GI Bill's promise was denied to 1 million black World War II veterans. And the GI Bill is basically when you serve in the military, you get certain benefits. And the GI Bill allows certain war veterans to get housing benefits. You may get a monthly stipend. You might get tuition benefits to go to college, all different types of, just different benefits for your service. In this particular article is just touching on how certain so-called black World War II veterans were denied certain suburban housing just because they weren't wanted in a certain area. All right, so it says the sweeping bill promised prosperity to veterans, so why didn't black Americans benefit? Okay, it says when Eugene Burnett saw the neat tract houses of Levittown, New York, he knew he wanted to buy one. It was 1949, and he was ready to settle down in a larger home with his family. The newly established Long Island suburbs seemed like the perfect place to begin their post-war life, one that he hoped would be improved with the help of the GI Bill, a piece of sweeping legislation aimed at helping World War II veterans like Burnett prosper after the war. But when he spoke with the salesman about buying the house using a GI Bill guaranteed mortgage, the door to suburban life in Levittown slammed firmly in his face. The suburb wasn't open to black residents. It says, it was as though it wasn't real. Burnett's wife, Bernice, recalled, look at this house. Can you imagine having this? And then for them to tell me because of the color of my skin that I can't be a part of it. So one of the things that's important to note is that, so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans here in this country, in America, in Babylon, this is just a constant battle that we face just as a nation of people, being denied bank loans, being denied certain housing, being denied access to have more independence and opportunities in this country, because, and it's mainly because we don't understand, where we came from. We don't understand our history, our culture, our heritage, and we don't understand that the Lord, Yahawah, BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI, has placed us here to serve captivity, to serve slavery to the so-called white man and other nations. All right, so the first thing I want to do is get Deuteronomy 28. Deuteronomy 28 and 48, where it says, therefore thou shalt serve thine enemies, which the Lord Yahawah shall send against thee in hunger and in thirst and in nakedness and all of one things, and he shall put a yoke of iron around thy neck until he have destroyed thee. So this is the purpose of even while we're here in America from the beginning to start with, to serve our enemies. And the Lord placed us here because of our disobedience to him, okay? Because we are his chosen people. All right, he deemed us his chosen people, and when we rebelled against his way and we started to serve other gods, this was our punishment. Okay, so when you read an article such as this, you have to start to understand that, or well, you should, if the spirit is working with you, that this is not something. This is actual prophecy coming to pass. Okay, Deuteronomy 28 and 48, in the whole 28th chapter, actually, this is prophecy being fulfilled during the transatlantic slave trade. You know, read that again. Therefore, thou shalt serve thine enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee in hunger and thirst and in nakedness. Okay, and in one of all things, and he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he have destroyed thee. Now, there's no other. This doesn't fit any other nation of people on the planet Earth except our people, because we were sent to serve our enemies in hunger and in thirst and in nakedness and one of all things. When we're looking to prosper, when we're looking for opportunity here in America, we have to go into our enemies to get it. We have to go to their school systems. We have to go to their banks. We have to go to their corporations for jobs. You know, and he shall put a yoke of iron around our neck, which he did during the slavery, when we were actually in the fields. You know. So again, this is biblical prophecy coming to pass. So this article is basically one of the results of that slavery. Okay, it's a result of that hatred that the so-called white man has for our people. You know, and it shouldn't come as a surprise, because when we're denied access and we're denied so-called equality, which people, deem to look towards to in this country, it's not going to happen because of their hatred towards us. All right, so I'm going to keep reading. It says, the Burnett's weren't the only black Americans from whom the promise of the GI Bill turned out to be an illusion. Though the bill helped white Americans prosper and accumulate wealth in the post-war years, it didn't deliver on that promise for veterans of color. In fact, the wide disparity in the bill's implementation ended up helping drive growing gaps in wealth, education, civil rights, between white and black Americans. And we see that now. This is the ramifications of these type of things that were happening, because you see the disparity in the wealth and the education here in America, in the rights and in the civil rights between so-called whites and so-called blacks. It says, while the GI Bill's language did not specifically exclude African American veterans from its benefits, it was structured in a way that ultimately shut doors for 1.2 black veterans who had bravely served their country during World War II in segregated ranks. Okay, and during that time in World War II, after these so-called black veterans came home, they were treated like shit. Okay, even during that time, they had to get World War II veterans will go out there, die, and serve in that war and come home and still be looked at as second-class citizens. Couldn't get jobs, had to get on the back of the bus, was spit on, had to deal with Jim Crow laws, such and such. It was just, and we still face this to this day. Okay, and the reason why I'm bringing this up is because today is July 4th. This is the 4th of July, and you got niggas, man. You got so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans actually out there celebrating this country, being patriotic, okay, that love this country. Meanwhile, ain't no love being shown to you. It says, fear of black advancement. When lawmakers began drafting the GI Bill in 1944, some Southern Democrats feared that returning black veterans would use public sympathy for veterans to advocate against Jim Crow laws. To make sure the GI Bill largely benefited white people, the Southern Democrats drew on tactics they had previously used to ensure the New Deal helped as few black people as possible. And these laws and these ideas are still in effect today. Okay, when it comes to looking at loans, like for example, just use this as an example. When you go, if a so-called black goes to a bank and look for loans, there's many different factors that they look at, to determine if you're eligible for that loan. Not only your credit history, not only your income, but they look at your zip code, and they look to see where you live at. Okay, to see if you're if basically they discriminate against your zip code. Okay, if you live in a certain area where it's a high risk area, then they're not going to grant you that loan, because for them it's taking a risk on whether they'll get that loan back. on whether you'll pay them back, you know. And we were brought here to serve our captivity, and that's something that so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans just don't understand. They just don't get it. Okay, this was prophesied, and this was ordained by the Heavenly Father. Yes, the Heavenly Father, the Lord. Okay, the Heavenly Father Yahawah. He was the one who put us here to serve our punishment. All right, it says, this is Baruch chapter 3 verse 8. Behold, we are yet this day in our captivity, where thou hast scattered us for a reproach and a curse, and to be subject to payments according to all the iniquities of the sins of our fathers, which departed from the Lord our power. Okay, so this is, we're here for a reason. Okay, we're here to serve our captivity. We're here to serve our slavery, and then the Lord is going to return back unto us, so we could be his chosen people again. You know, this is the book of Hosea, chapter 4 verse 6. It says, my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. Okay, so the so-called blacks and Latinos and Native Americans are destroyed because they lack knowledge. They lack the knowledge of this Bible, okay, which basically tells you your history, your heritage. It shows you that you're an Israelite. It shows you that you come from a royal line. You're the chosen people of the Heavenly Father. So you're destroyed for that lack of knowledge. You're destroyed because you don't understand. You can't identify your enemy. You can't identify white supremacy. You know, and just because you have things like affirmative action that come into play, you know, you think you on your way to being looked at differently here in this country. No, man, that's not how that works, man. You know, these little crumbs that they throw at you so they can continually oppress you mentally, okay, and think that you're on your way to something that you're not. Okay, you'll always be second-class citizens to them. Okay, so-called white men, the rulers, the so-called banking families, and the ones who have the rule over this world and this country, they're mostly concerned with power and control. Okay, yes, they want money. Yes, but the power, it's the seat that they hold that's most prominent to them. Okay, and if white supremacy is alive and well, despite blacks having the opportunity and the ability to earn this country, that's nothing for them. Here, take these crumbs, okay? Take these little bullshit benefits. But as long as you think that we're your friends, then that's good enough for them. That's the slavery that's most important to them. You know? This is the book of Jeremiah, chapter 4. Verse 22. It says, for my people is foolish, and then my people are the Israelites, the so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans, the Lord's people, the Lord's chosen people. It says, for my people is foolish. They have not known me. They are sottish children, and they have none understanding. They are wise to do evil, but to do good they have no knowledge. Okay, so the Lord called his people sottish children, and I looked up sottish in the etymologyonline.com. It says sottish, foolish. Okay, from the 1560s, a word, it's called fool. It's defined as foolish. So the Lord is saying our people are foolish because we have not known him, and knowing him is knowing his ways, understanding the standard that was lifted up through the law, statutes, and commandments. Okay, because these law, statutes, and commandments create order. Okay, the law, statutes, and commandments are defined as love in the scriptures. All right. And when you're here in America, these rights and these liberties that you have, that we have to function in this society, it doesn't change the spirit of hatred and white supremacy that goes on in this country. Okay, because that's what this country has been founded on. Okay, the foundation is spirit in which this country, in which this current system thrives on. That's what we see today. It's the bloodshed. It's the hatred. Okay, when they came over here and they enslaved us. And when they brought us over here from the west coast of Africa and other parts of the world. Okay, it's not the spirit of love. It's not the spirit of equality or hope. Okay, that's an illusion. Okay, and we didn't have it good after slavery, man. All right, we were sent out into the world without skills, could barely read or write. Okay, couldn't get hired to support our families. Okay, being terrorized, man. And we're still being terrorized to this day. You know. Let me see here. Let's go to this is Micah chapter 2, verse 10. It says, "Arise ye and depart, for this is not your rest, because it is polluted. It shall destroy you, even with the sword destruction." Okay, so this is not our rest here. We're here to serve our captivity, and then the Lord's going to destroy this place, and then he's going to allow us to rest. Okay, because when you go back to this article is just basically showing you what they think of us. Okay, you could go over in wars and fight for white supremacy, because that's really when you're doing when you go into these wars. You're fighting to keep white supremacy alive. You know, but they trick you. They trick you to believe in you're fighting for the freedoms, okay, of American citizens, and you're not, because we ain't being threatened by nobody. Well, not we. You know, America's not being threatened by nobody. You know, we just going over there. We trying to establish dominance throughout the entire globe in all different regions. You know, trying to take people's resources and their lands and their oil and their goods. Just being devils, man. You know? This is the book of Ecclesiasticus or Sirach. This is chapter 12, actually. And start at verse 16. It says, Ecclesiasticus 12 and 16, "An enemy speaketh sweetly with his lips, but in his heart he imagineth how to throw thee into a pit. He will weep with his eyes, but if he find opportunity, he will not be satisfied with blood." Yeah, and that's the so-called white man for you, because he speaks sweetly with his lips, but in his heart he's looking how to destroy our people. And this is the history. It just if you were to go take a timeline, okay, of our people from the time that we've been over here, it's been nothing but rape, robbery, murder, enslavement, castration. Nothing has been good for our people here. So for you to go over there and serve in the war for them, you got to be a complete, utter fool. You have to be a fool. Verse 17, it says, "If adversity come upon thee, thou shalt find him there first, and though he pretend to help thee, yet shall he undermine me." And this is the mind of the so-called white man. It says he will shake his hand and clap his hands and whisper much and change his countenance, because that's, you know, the so-called white man doesn't have a soul, man. He does not have a soul. You know, he's truly the devil that the Bible speaks of. So when you hear, because what's in the news lately, you'll see things like reparations. You know what I'm saying? Esau will never pay you reparations, and if they do, they're gonna do it as a device to keep you more oppressed, to keep the blind over your eyes, to think they're trying to do something for you, and they don't care about throwing you money, because they know you ain't gonna do nothing right with it. The average so-called black, Latino, Native American, they get some money, they're gonna blow it on some bullshit, right? So even if they do, which they won't, give reparations, because they ain't trying to give our people nothing, you know, it's all gonna be for naught, because everything here is vain anyway. You know, when you look, when you go back to this article, when you talk about what we didn't get, what we weren't able to get, you know, these veterans, these so-called black veterans, not being denied access to the full rights and the full benefits of that GI Bill. You know, this is when you look at what's happened to other nations of people after World War II. You got various Jewish organizations who received billions and billions of dollars since World War II from America, from Germany. Okay, they're being supported and they're being funded to stay afloat. And that'll never happen for our people. Okay, because again, this is not our rest, because the Lord didn't set it up that way. All right. Ronald Reagan, he signed the American Civil Liberties Act. Okay, that paid surviving prisoners from the Japanese encampment from World War II. They were paid, each family were paid, or each person was paid like $20,000 each. You know, and you ask yourself, how could this happen before you can implement some of the economic restitution for blacks in this country after hundreds and hundreds of years of slavery? You know, where's the restitution for our people? You know, but if you've been woken up to this truth, you ain't looking for no restitution from the so-called white man. You know what I'm saying? Forget him and his money. But it just goes to show that this country has no plans of showing any type of remorse for all the sufferings of our people. Okay, because that's exactly where they want us. They want us trodden down. Okay, they're not looking to empower us. You know? And even now, when you look, you got the plight of so-called gays and transgenders being compared to the plight of blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans. What we've been through in slavery, you got their plight being compared to ours. You know? And that's what Esau and the other nations think of us, man. They hate our guts. This is because again, this is not our place of rest, man. Because the Lord's going to deliver us out of this place, okay? Jeremiah 29:11, for I know the thoughts that I think toward you, saith the Lord, thoughts of peace and not evil, to give you an expected end. And that's what we're looking for. We're looking for an expected end. We have to serve out our time, our captivity here in America, and then the Lord is going to bring us an expected end. That expected end is talked about all through the scriptures, okay? New heavens and a new earth will endure with righteousness. That second covenant fully being fulfilled, where he's going to write the law, statutes, and commandments on our hearts, and we're going to be his people, and he's going to be our God. Verse 12, it says, then shall ye call upon me, and ye shall go and pray unto me, and I will hearken unto you. And ye shall seek me and find me, when ye shall search for me with all your heart. And that's the time that we're in now. Ezekiel 37 chapter, it goes into the dry bones, and he has restored, okay? The Lord has this mass awakening, and he's restoring us back to him. Okay, and now we're seeking the Lord with all our heart, and we shall find him. And we have found the Lord through the Spirit, man. Okay, verse 14, it says, and I will be found of you, saith the Lord, and I will turn away your captivity, and I will gather you from all the nations and from all the places whither I have driven you, saith the Lord Yahawah, and I will bring you again into the place whence I caused you to be carried away captive. And that's the story of the Bible. The story of the Bible is we are his chosen people. We rebelled against him. He turned us. He turned his back on us. He drove us. Okay, he scattered us among different nations. Okay, to be captive. And of course, this time we've served many different nations in certain different captivities, but he's going to restore us. There's a restoration coming. Jeremiah 30 verse 16. Therefore all they that devour thee shall be devoured, and all thine adversaries, every one of them, shall go into captivity. And they that spoil thee shall be a spoil, and all that prey upon thee I will give thee for a prey. So the Lord's going to devour his enemies, which are our enemies. And that's what's coming. Okay, verse 17, for I will restore health unto thee, and I will heal thee of thy wounds, saith the Lord Yahawah, because they call thee an outcast. Who's being called an outcast, man? This Bible fits our people to the T, man. All right, it says again, verse 17, for I will restore health unto thee, and I will heal thee of thy wounds, saith the Lord Yahawah, because they call thee an outcast, saying, this is Zion, which is another name for Israel, whom no man seeketh after. Okay, nobody's seeking after us. Nobody's looking to restore us or empower us or bring us to any place where we can just live in righteousness. Okay, verse 18, thus saith the Lord Yahawah, behold, I will bring again the captivity of Jacob's tents, and have mercy on his dwelling places, because the Lord's going to have mercy on us, and the city shall be builded upon her own heap, and the place shall remain after the manner thereof. And he's got plans for the wicked as well. Okay, for those who enslaved us. Okay, Proverbs verse 11 and 21 says, though hand join in hand, Okay? Because when you look here in America, you know, there's plenty of our people, so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native America, who join hand in hand with the so-called white man. And today is a perfect example of that. Everybody celebrating the 4th of July together as one nation. Okay, and that's hand joining in hand. It says, though hand join in hand, the wicked shall not be unpunished, because the Lord's not going to forget their wickedness. The Lord's not going to forget the wickedness and the evil of the so-called white man. Though hand join in hand, the wicked shall not be unpunished, but the seed of the righteous shall be delivered. And the Lord has delivered our people, the righteous, from the beginning. And he's going to restore that unto us. Okay? And that's what we have to look forward to. All right? So I'm going to leave it there. You know, I hope you brothers and any sisters watching were edified. Call halal, YAHAWAH, BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI, BAHASHAM, HAKODASH. Double honors to the apostles and the elders at Great Millstone who rule well. Peace and salutations to the elect. Shalom.